Okay, before I get into my presentation, when I first got in this profession in 2006, the head coach at the time, his name was Dan Hawkins. He had me read this book. And at first I was kind of like, why the heck is he making me read this book? But it's about our U.S. military fighter pilots and how before they get an assignment, their briefing and debriefing system. So before they go on an assignment, they anticipate problems happening in the assignment. So if and when something happens, they operate as if it was a part of the plan. So I kind of resonate this with working in operations. I'm glad I read it. If you guys haven't read this book, it's a pretty good read. Just a little info sheet about myself. We all work together, and sometimes we don't know each other's family background and the personal information about each other. So hometown's Los Angeles. Went to the Sarah High School. Married to my wife. We were high school sweethearts. Been married for 14 years. We have 3 kids. My oldest is 16, Jocelyn, Autumn, 13. My son is 10. NOK. No outside kids. College degree, University of Colorado. Got my degree in ethnic studies. Was fortunate enough to play 4 years in the National Football League for the Broncos and the Redskins. When I got in this profession, went back to my alma mater, worked there from 2006 to 2012. During that time, I was fortunate enough to do the Bill Walsh minority internship with the Broncos 2 years in a row. Moved on from University of Colorado, where I worked at San Diego State, DFO, and evolved to the assistant AD during my time there from 13 to 19. Obviously here now, University of Nevada. I also serve as the national committee president for all DFOs. So when we have our AFCA convention and also our spring DFO convention, I'm in charge of that as well. And outside of football, I'm a children's book author and publisher. All right, this slide is kind of funny. You guys can get a laugh out of this, but this is probably, this slide right here, I'm passionate about this slide. I was talking to a couple coaches yesterday just about people getting in this profession for the wrong reasons. The reason why I have this slide here is just to kind of give you guys a glimpse of my timeline involved in football. I've been involved in football ever since I can remember, since 1984, before some of you were born. That's 37 years straight. I haven't missed a year of football. 37 years straight of football, being on a team. I used to sleep with a damn football. I'm passionate about the game. I have this here, obviously, like I mentioned earlier. I think players, coaches, in this new age are getting into this profession for the wrong reasons. You can be a GA 2-3 years and get a 6-figure job at the age of 24 or 25. And obviously all the social media glitz and glams that you get from being involved in the football team. So I have this slide here to let you guys know I'm very passionate about the game of football. All right, the transition. Everyone knows the transition after playing is hard as hell. You don't know what you want to do. You don't know how you're going to do it and where it's going to come from. So when I got done playing, I got released from the Redskins in the middle of training camp. And mentally, I was kind of over it. I was ready to start the next chapter of my life, but a part of me still wanted to play. So during the process, I emailed all the coaches that recruited me, all the coaches that I knew. I texted them, sent them letters, contacted them through social media. And I have this here, never burn bridges. You guys know that being in this profession. So during that time, as I'm reaching out to coaches, one of my former coaches who coached me at Colorado, he was the head coach at the University of Montana, Bobby Houck. You guys probably know BH. I reached out to him. Crazy enough, he said, yeah, I got a job for you right now. You can come in, you're going to coach the tight ends, you're going to make $30,000 a year, and when can you get here? Now, I'm going through the process to get my name out there, but mentally I wasn't ready to coach, especially tight ends. So simultaneously, my alma mater said, you know what, Jashon, You're a good student athlete here. Obviously, you played national football here in the city. Everyone likes and loves you. We'll create a position for you. So they created a 6-month intern. They didn't think I was serious. They think I still wanted to play. So they created a position for me. So I do a bunch of research, calling people like, what should I do? I want to coach, but this operations thing is new to me. Well, the reality is, and this is honest to God truth, outside of being a student athlete at the University of Montana, it's only about 2 minorities there in the city. So I went back to my alma mater, Colorado. During that time, it was a 6-month intern. I sat in this guy, his name is David Hansberg. He was my DFO as a player, and when I went back, he was still the DFO. He's now currently the AD at Colorado School of Mines. You know, and I have these sayings here on top of some of my slides. No job is too big or too small in ops. I learned this right away. Right away, you gotta learn to vacuum the floors, make coffee, take out the trash, all the stuff that's not in your job description, it's in ops. So Dave, I learned a lot from Dave. We would talk every day. We shared the same office. He dressed well. He was professional. Had a relationship with everyone on campus. I thought that was pretty cool that he knew a little bit about everything, and whenever someone needed answers about what football was doing, they went to him, or he knew who had the answers. One day we're sitting in his office, and he said, you know, Jashon, I think you'd be a good DFO. He says, me, I'm a nerd. He says, the coaches don't like me. It's hard to get shit done with the players. He says, you're a former player. You can speak the lingo. The players, they respect you. The coaches, they respect you. He says, I think you'd be good in ops. A lot of the job description and operations is getting the coaches to flow places, getting the players to do things. So that really resonated with me. At the time, as I'm doing this intern, so I'm doing operations things, and at the same time, I'm helping our defensive staff. I'm charting plays on game day, down and distance. During the week, as we're game planning, from personnel standpoint, you know, B Ward, you kind of got it broken down now. From a personnel standpoint, what we're going to do, I charted all that stuff in our defensive war room. So I kind of was on both sides of the fence. David Hansberg moved on. Dan Hawkins hired this guy here, Robert Tucker. Now he was at Boise State with Hawk as a DB coach. Hawk felt bad for him because he left him out of a job, so he hired him as a DFO. Now, to be a DFO, you have to want to be a DFO. A lot of coaches hire former coaches to be DFOs, and they're always peeking their ears onto the coaching side. And this guy, we didn't get along at all, just to be honest. Wasn't a good people's person. And I have this here, define your identity through your good and bad experiences. You know, I watched the way he operated. Again, shared office, you know, didn't get along with people. He was disgruntled about everything because he wanted to coach and he was doing operations. Didn't understand the bureaucracy of the university, protocol and procedure. I'll get into that in my next slide. But I learned a lot from him. So mind you, I worked with Dave for 6 months. And when this guy came in, they were total opposite. So I learned at young in my career on how to operate and how not to operate and dealing with people and working in operations. So 2006 to 2009, I finally got hired on as assistant recruiter and ops, kind of the same thing that Colton does for us now. So I understood the flow of recruiting and I understood the flow of operations. And that was very, very beneficial for me because I understood how everything needed to operate in operations. So opportunity presents itself again. I have this here. He whispers hints to you before he speaks loudly. So mind you, I'm still working with the defensive staff and I'm still doing operations. You guys remember Jerry Glanville, used to coach for the Houston Texans. He was the head coach at Portland State. Reached out to me, had a linebacker position job open. I was like, here's my opportunity. I can talk linebacker in my sleep. Interviewed at the AFCA convention, knocked it out. You know what he told me? He told me I'm overqualified for this job. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that, but that was my first time hearing that someone can be overqualified for the job. He thought because of my NFL background and me working at the University of Colorado, that Portland State wasn't a place for me, so I didn't get it. So at the same time, Dan Hawkins said, you know what, Jashon, if you don't get the DFO, or if you don't get the linebacker job at Portland State, we'll interview you for the DFO job. The guy, Robert Tucker, left to become a coach at a small university. So now I'm kind of bought in now, because I prayed a lot and said, all right, if I don't get this job, then I'm gonna pursue this operation stuff full time. That must mean that this is my avenue that he wants me to go down. So as a DFO, I thought, hey, I can change the look, change the mindset, and the thought process. During my time young in the profession, you go to AFCA and I started reaching out to people that was already DFOs, connecting with people. These are some of the schools that I connected with. I don't know if you guys know any of these names, but Michigan, Texas. I mean, when you're at the AFCA, you connect with everyone, but the director of football operation, we kind of have our own thing going on, our own meetings. It's very cool. We share ideas and thoughts. And one thing I learned right away is all these big time schools, except one, LSU, they all have similar complaints. Budget, administration, HR, hiring process, enrollment process, compliance complaints, do's and don'ts. They all had the same complaints. And I thought, working at Colorado, that it was just our school. But everyone had complaints. LSU was the only school that said pretty much whatever we want, how we want it, they get it done. All right, I'm the DFO now. So DFO 101. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. So just a couple things, I'll go through this fast. You must have a mutual understanding between you and the head coach. Understand how we communicate, whether that's through text message, phone calls, in person. Number 3, details, details, details. You can leave no room for assumption. That's the same with coaching and players, right? You got to remember, in this job, you're representing the head coach and the program. So whether I'm meeting with hotels, meeting with folks across campus, anytime that I'm representing this logo, I'm representing Coach Norvell first, I'm representing the university, I'm representing our athletic department. When a coach wants it, no isn't an option. Being available. What do I mean by being available? I'll just use coach as an example. Oftentimes, coach may call, mostly text late at night. Being a head coach, when you go home, you're still in deep thoughts on how to improve the program. So coach texts me, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, or I want to change this. You got to be available. You got to respond right away. Obviously, oversee all aspects of football. When to communicate versus just doing it. What do I mean by that? Sometimes, I'll give you an example. A couple weeks ago, I think Vi talked about Motley. Coach said right away, hey, let's get some Motley shirts made. Well, normal procedure is contact the business office because we're going to have a huge expense on getting these shirts made and created. Knowing that they're probably going to say, well, it's going to cost too much. Can we do it next year? Can we wait till the fiscal year happens? Sometimes you got to just do it. Coach wants it done. Excuse my language. Fuck it. Get it done. All right, so that's an example. We should have those shirts hopefully in the next week or so. Know what's happening in every department involving football. That's equipment, strength staff, training room. Know what's going on. In operations, I'm the leader. It's my fault. No matter what's going on, if something goes bad, if something doesn't execute well, it is my fault. It's my fault. Explain well and delegate. Now here we have a small team of folks, which is fine. So I mostly work with Colton and sometimes Lucas with a lot of things. And sometimes there's a lot of things going on at one time. And I may have to delegate an assignment. So that's what I mean by explain well and delegate is you want things done in a first-class manner. You want things done correctly. You have to do a great job explaining, detail exactly what needs to get done. Over-communicate. Kind of resonates back to the book. Rehash on all assignments. What I mean by rehash is once assignments are done, we come back and we talk about what could we have done better, things that went wrong. The next time we do it, how can we improve? Open to new ideas. I consider myself older in this profession. I use Colton as an example. I consider him young in this profession. There are a lot of things when I first got here that I did differently, that he does differently, and I thought it was more efficient. So Teamworks, for example, using Teamworks for our travel. So gotta be open to new ideas and be able to evolve. All right, the DFO mindset, and then I'll get into some travel pieces. This is one of my favorite slides. Whenever I'm talking to a group about DFO, this is the mindset. So this is a duck swimming on a lake. Now, the top of his body looks smooth, calm, cool, and collected. All right, but the faster he's going across the lake underwater, the faster his legs are moving. And that's kind of, I resonate that to operation. The more shit that's going on, when you look at me, I gotta be calm, cool, and collected. Because if I'm panicking, then you guys know there's some shit that's going on that's not right. But underneath, I'm probably swimming like hell, but you will never know that. This is on my board. It's been on my board for the last probably 10 plus years. 5 P's. You guys know this. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. All right, you guys have heard of that. 3 C's. Calm, cool, and collected. And this one here is just for Coach whenever I have some updates, anything going on. Sometimes Coach will be looking for me, or he'll just look on my board, and I may have some updates or something I need to talk to him about. So this is what I have here for Coach. I just found this slide. This is probably one of my new favorite slides. In this job, you have to anticipate a lot of shit happening at one time. Anticipate a lot of shit happening at one time. All right, I'm gonna get into some travel now. So I'm gonna use the San Jose game because it was our last road game in the regular season that we traveled to. Now, thankfully, we went to the hotel, I think 3 times, same hotel 3 times this year. So once we figure out kickoff time and all the logistics, traveling, what time we're gonna ride, we put it in itinerary. And I wanna get this to the hotel, I wanna get this to the buses, I wanna get this to everyone that has anything to do with our football team while we're traveling. Now, one thing I wanna point out, you guys see this right here. We land at 2:55, right? I had that's the real time when we land. That's real time. Now, when we travel, I have to communicate with everyone, airlines, buses, on just the movement of football. Now, you guys see this. What time does it say we land? Team arrive. 2 o'clock. The previous slide said 2:55. That's an hour difference. Why do I have that in there? This is our bus itinerary. Why do I have that in there? Well, early in my career, I had an experience happen to me that I said, you guys know, being a coach, being a former player, you can make a mistake once, but you can't make it twice. So early in my career, I'm the DFO at the University of Colorado. We're playing Ohio State. I was just telling this story the other day. The plane's getting ready to land, my buses are not there. Police escorts are there, but my buses are not there. I'm at the FBO, where you guys find you talking to the flight operator. He goes, where are your buses at? And I'm like, they're stuck in traffic. I send the police escorts to get the buses. The operations guy said, do you want me to hold the plane up from landing? And I'm like, you can do that? He goes, yeah. We send the plane back up. They're circling around Columbus until the buses get there. The plane, once the buses get staged, the plane finally lands. I'm panicking, I'm sweating. I'm thinking that coach is gonna cuss me out and I'm gonna lose my job, right? Everyone gets off the plane, no one knew shit. They had no idea that they were just circling around, wasting time until the buses land. So, back to this previous slide. Sorry, excuse me, wrong button. Back to my previous slide. That's why I have, when you see this itinerary, this is real time. This is for you guys. But for my buses, they think we'll arrive an hour ahead. I want them waiting on us instead of you guys waiting on them. Okay? Just some other logistics when we travel. If you guys see this time here, it says 7:02. Most of the time, pretty much every time when the kickoff time comes out, it says 6:30, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 7:30. This time here, again, we have to anticipate. You guys know why this is 7:02 and not 7 o'clock? Chances are this is a TV game or something is going on before our game. So this is called a slide. They call it a slide. We don't find out this time until 60 minutes before kickoff. So one thing that Colton and I did, it's not on this one, but we have the actual time that they put out publicly, which was likely 7 o'clock. So we have that time on one side, and we have the potential slide time. So it's anticipating that, we know there's a game going on before our game, so anticipating the slide. Because if we give you guys the TV time, that's 7 o'clock. So now if the kickoff's at 7:02, all these times are wrong. So hopefully that makes sense with the TV slide. So this is stuff that we give you guys before games so you guys know when to come out with your position group. Just something else with operation. We send this in every week. This is from the conference. This is our headset list. They want to know who's listening on headsets, who's talking, who can talk back and forth, who's listening only. So we send this in on Wednesday. This is Coach's autograph here. We have him sign this. We have to do this every Wednesday. For the most part, it stays the same every week. I think we may have had 1 or 2 adjustments this season, but for the most part, this stays the same. This is something that we have to get done early in the week as well. The conference wants to know who's traveling, who's suiting up, who's not suiting up. So this is just an itinerary, so that's why starting Monday, Tuesday, I'm going in you guys' office saying, hey, is so-and-so traveling this week? Even if he's hurt, is it a potential chance that he's traveling? We need to know so we can get this list to the conference. Now these guys that's in yellow, these are our seniors. So obviously this past year, all of our seniors, they got their own rooms in the hotel. So we just try to detail everything. We're up the number of people, number of players that's traveling, the number of seniors that's getting their own room. We kind of break it down per position, how many guys are traveling per position, just so we know. So when we get to now this is our manifest. This is something that we send to our airlines. They want this by Tuesday, Wednesday. So it's in alphabetical order, and this is every potential traveler on our road games. So we have it broken down by date of birth, obviously sex, and weight. There is a weight limit on our charter flights. So when you guys are getting off the bus, getting ready to load onto the plane, when they're checking you guys off, this is the list that they're going off of. So this here is just our seat map for the plane. This is more so for Colton and myself. When we have it color-coded based on what department that you're in. This slide is kind of distorted a little bit, but we kind of got it broken down, color-coded. This is where our coaches are. And the reason why we have this, and we know we send this to you guys, but sometimes you guys just may forget. The game, you guys just finished up a game or are getting ready to travel to a game. The last thing sometimes you guys are worried about is where you're sitting at on the plane. So we have it broken down, color-coded, just so we can look at it. We print this out, and if you guys ask us, we can find you right away where you're sitting at. So this is just the outbound. This is just the return. We try to keep you guys in the same seats, going and coming. So after the game, we know you guys are trying to get to the film and keep you guys in the same seats that you guys came out on. So that's one less thing that you have to worry about or ask us. This right here is just a detailed rooming list. So you guys know I advance. I go to the city that we're traveling to a day before you guys arrive. So one of the things that's my responsibility is I meet with the hotel, the cleaning crew, the front desk people, and I go through Everyone is traveling, but this is one of the main things, our rooming list. And we have this broken down by category as well. So we want to know, we want to make sure that you have the right people in the king, you have the right people in the double, you got them checking in the right day, you got them checking out the right day. We've had some incidents where someone let's see if I can find, so right here, this guy's checking in a day before the team arrives. I want to make sure the hotel knows that. So when that person comes, their room is ready. This is Lucas when he arrived. Lucas and I, we advanced together. I want to make sure that you got this room ready when we arrive. So this is just detailed information that I go through with the hotel rooming list. And we also give you guys a rooming list as well, broken down when you guys are doing bed checks or Jordan. One of the other things, I printed this picture because this is another thing that's kind of not in the job description. So like I said, our charter flights have a weight limit. Most of the stuff that can't go on our charter, it can probably fit, but it's overweight. So these are our bins that go on our equipment truck. And this is, I put my family here because I include my family with everything I do. If y'all want to come see me, y'all gonna work. That's the agreement. You want to take pictures and stuff on the field, then you're gonna work. So this is Lucas saying this shit is too heavy. You see his body language. But this is some of the behind the scenes that we do. You know, we don't brag about it. It's not in the job description. When you're interviewing for an ops job, they don't talk about stuff like this. And when you guys get to the stadium, you guys expect to know where your locker room is, the beds, everything to be set up so there's less complaints, less distraction. So these are some of the things that we do when we arrive in the stadium and set up the locker room as well. All right, more kind of broad, more operations. Outfoxing the administration. Either your first class or no class. There is no in between. So what do I mean by outfoxing the administration? Oftentimes they tell you no. When you ask for things, they tell you no. That's why I mentioned earlier, just do it. So budgeting, sneak funds for later use. So often what I've done in the past is I always use like coaches' professional development as extra funds. And everyone wants to go see other coaches and learn ball and talk ball. Even on my side of things, we have professional development in our spring meetings. But we may jack this price up a little bit, saying that, you know, coach is going to go to Mississippi State, he's going to go to USC, he's going to go all these different places to put it in a budget, knowing that we're not going to use these funds. But later, when coach says, hey, let's make some Motley shirts, we got that expense in the budget. So travel, why is this needed? This is what they always ask. Why do we need this? Why do we need this? So for our charter flights, so when the season comes out, we have to bid it out to all these charters. RFP, request for a proposal. So we got to send out our travel detail to all these different airlines. And most of the time, the cheapest one, whoever comes back the cheapest, that's who our business office wants us to go with. Well, you guys know the cheapest ain't always the best. So what I do is I'll outfox them. I'll say, hey, coach doesn't want to travel to Boise and have to stop in Oakland. Coach wants Wi-Fi on the flight so we can watch film, so we can text our recruits. PSOG, plane staged on ground. Hey, coach doesn't want our plane to drop us off and go pick up another team. So these are all kind of BS excuses that I use to our business office to get the charter plane that we really want. So I'll come up with some of these reasons why we can't go with the cheapest airline. Same with the hotel. We got to do the same procedure. We got to bid it out to all these different hotels, and whoever comes back with the cheapest price, that's who our business office wants us to go with. Well, coach doesn't want us to stay at a hotel that the meeting space is not convenient, or doesn't have all of our defense, offense, meal rooms on the same level. If there's an event going on at the hotel, coach doesn't want to stay there. So I blame a lot of stuff on you, coach, because I know they're not going to come back and ask you. But these are some of the things that I have to do to get what we really want. So I got to outfox them. Same with meals. They want us to spend $12, no more than $12 per meal. So what do I do to outfox the administration? Well, we're gonna order more meals in. Since we can't spend $15 or $20 on a meal, then instead of ordering 130 meals, we're gonna order 150 at $12. Give our guys so they can take 2 plates with them. Camp, this is my favorite one. So now you guys know that we're doing our camps through Coaches LLC, at least we're attempting to. So how do we outfox the administration there? Well, what I've normally done in the past is I'll get with our strength staff and we'll reserve the facilities, this room here, all of our fields through our strength staff. To the administration, we're gonna make it look like we're working out our football team during these times. And we only do this to save expenses. So coach doesn't have to pay an arm and a leg just to rent our own facilities. So we go through our strength staff because we'll be working out our team in the summertime. This is peak time for us working out. So we'll outfox them that way. Miscellaneous pop-ups, sorry, not sorry. So when coach comes up with last minute stuff, just get it done. Just do it, don't act. I have this here, they will tell you no, and if you don't win, they will tell you to go. So this is why at the end of the day, when we want to do something, most of the time we just do it the right way. I don't take shortcuts, I don't believe in that, I believe in doing it the right way. If you do it your way, you gotta win regardless. Regardless, if you do it their way and you don't win games, they're gonna let you go. So you might as well do it your way. They will tell you no, and if you don't win, they'll tell you to go.
Can I add one thing to that too? So one of the things my coach, I was really lucky, I had a great college coach, but one thing Aiden Fry always used to say is that there's only so much you can do for the players, but you can make sure they have a nice hotel room and you can feed them good. And if they have those 2 things, those are mostly morale things too.
Mm-hmm.
So we always try to make sure they get a good meal and they have a nice room.
I agree, Coach, and that's why I have this here. Either your first class or no class.
Yep.
No in between. So just from going around the conference, I've been in this conference a pretty long time. This is kind of my ideal staff op structure. Just breaking down, this is me right here. Obviously, I believe I should have an assistant. Over here, Director of Player Personnel, this is Lucas. Lucas should have an assistant. This is the most important position to me. This is the intern. This is kind of what I was when I first got in. And I have a former player here because it's an opportunity. You have a guy that's kind of busted his ass for you for 4 or 5 years. And he's not good enough to play in the NFL. He's a good kid. He's a good representation of our football program. This is a way to give back to our players. This guy's going to help you in recruiting. This guy here, he's alum now. So when he goes across campus and he's speaking for the football program, they'll tell us no, but they don't want to tell alumni no. So it's another way to mold and keep former players involved in your program and move them up the chain. I think that's very important for younger players to see, and I think no one knows a program like a former player. And obviously this position is kind of its own entity. Media and graphics, this guy here is very important. Obviously he sends out your social media, your cool graphics and design. I think every program needs this because recruiting, that's what they're into. They're into pictures, so you got to have a good graphics guy. Okay, understanding the university bureaucracy procedure. You got to know a little bit about everything: what, who, where, and why. So these are some of the conversations we hear all the time. Understand why it's taking so long. The hiring process, administration, why is the physicals taking so long? How come we're not getting our bonuses? And if we are getting our bonuses, why are we not getting them until May, June? Well, you got to understand that they don't work for football. And when I say they, I'm talking about folks across campus. Okay, they don't, when we operate fast and we operate to get things done in a timely manner. Everyone doesn't operate like we operate. It starts with the AD. Is the AD a football guy? If he's not, I know this is recorded, so I'm not going to say too much. But if he's not, you may run into issues. And when I say issues, it's because for our hiring process, we're trying to get things done. We got spring ball coming up, and he doesn't understand the urgency that we got to get someone in here fast. Know when to be an asshole. Know when to bring the asshole out. You guys may have heard Coach the other week. I mean, he went off on Doug. Went off on him. And I thought that was perfect timing, knowing when to be an asshole. Even though you understand the bureaucracy and how slow they move across campus, you can't accept that. So you got to know when to bring the asshole out and say, no, we need to get this done now. Fuck that. We got spring ball in 3 weeks. I heard all those words, Coach. And it was great. It was great, Coach, because you know what happened? They got off their ass. They got off their ass. So that was great. You got to know who reports to who when you're dealing with folks across campus. And it'll help you understand why they don't move as fast as we would like. So our compliance guy, he reports to Doug. Equipment, Shannon, she reports to Rhonda. Our head trainer reports to Rhonda. Our strength guy reports to Coach, but when he does his eval, it's with Rhonda. How about this? Our academics guy reports to the president. So when you understand how this works, now you understand, like, shit, no wonder shit's all screwed up and we don't get things done as fast as possible. I have this here from my experience. The more staff that reports to football, the less internal problems you'll have. So, Coach, when you get your next big one, I will put this in my contract. I want these people reporting specifically to football. And I got this idea from most of the Power 5 conferences, DFOs that I know. You want these people reporting directly to football, because when they report to you and they know stuff needs to get done, they're going to move with urgency like we move in this room.
And just to add to that, Coach, really run that back. Everybody needs to know this. Really, compliance reports to the president. So, like when we have problems in academics, you know, they have a different motivation even to Doug. They go to the president. So we all should just understand and realize that's the chain of command. Ryan Mitchell and Andrew report to the president.
So understanding the university bureaucracy, once you understand this, I think you have less headaches and more understanding really why things move the way they move. And then my last slide is familiarity. Having been here a year, I always thought once you're in a program for a full year, once things come back around, you know exactly who to talk to, you know who to call, you know who to email, you know what to do. So I always felt like it takes a full calendar year to understand your placement and your role on the job. And I think that speaks for coaches, operations, pretty much everyone, just familiarity within the program, what a difference a year makes. That's it. Questions?